Wheat School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Syngenta Canada, Alberta Wheat Commission, and C&M Seeds.
I'm Lindsay Smith with RealAgriculture.com. I'm joined today by Peter Johnson at Wheat Pete on Twitter. And let's talk early spring management of wheat.
Absolutely. So it's amazing, but we planted a whack of wheat far later than I would like. And so a lot of that wheat didn't even emerge last fall. Maybe it's coming up underneath the snow, maybe it's not, but it's small stuff. So if that wheat's going to make it, we have to do everything we can to try to help it through and get it an early start. How do you do that? The best thing you can do is spring nitrogen. So what we're going to do is a little bit of spring nitrogen. And you might say, well, wait a minute, I'm going to put on 120 pounds on my wheat field, so let's do one half of that. Let's do 60 pounds up front. Absolutely not, because the little wheat plant can't use 60 pounds. It can use less than 30 pounds. Plus, if I put 60 pounds on as soon as I can, the snow goes, I'm out there immediately. Just before it starts to green up anything, I put 60 pounds on, we get a wet, warm 2 weeks, I lose half that nitrogen, 2/3 of that nitrogen is bad. 30 pounds, if I do lose half of it, it's not the end of the world. So it's 30 pounds as soon as the snow goes, even before the frost comes out if I have to. I'd like the frost to come out, but I can't wait. It's got to be there before it starts.
Now, there was a question about clover. If you're not so sure your wheat's going to make it, do you still go on with clover, and if so, what kind?
Yeah, so absolutely. I think you just assume the wheat's going to make it because the cost of the clover seed is actually quite low, and it's single cut. So single cut clover is not going to come up and interfere with my combine process. It's like wheat, it's got to go through the winter before it will head out. So I end up with a clover crop that's maybe this tall. If I really want wheat straw, I might give up a little bit of the bottom of the wheat straw, but you put the clover on, it costs me $12 an acre. If the wheat doesn't make it, well, then I'm out that $12 an acre. It's a pretty minor cost. If the wheat does make it and it has weak spots in there, then the clover growth will actually fill in those spots, keep the weeds down, make nitrogen for my next corn crop. It's a good deal all around.
Now, speaking of perhaps some bald spots or some less than great spots, some farmers are tempted to go in and put spring wheat to fill those in a little.
Yeah, so the millers hate this thought process. We have winter wheat out there that's soft red or something like that. You put hard red into that hard red spring, two things happen. It's all feed now because it's a blended class and the miller can't use it at all. And the spring wheat is 2 or 3 weeks later to combine than the winter wheat, and it's a recipe for disaster. However, what's really intriguing is that there's an awfully good feed market out there for wheat. And so if you put spring wheat into the winter wheat, then sell it as a feed crop and there's no price penalty to that. What's wrong with that? So that is an interesting concept. It will have to be feed, but the other thing that happened in 2014 that I did not anticipate, it's really tough to decide where's the drill down, where's the drill up. And I wouldn't want the job, so a lot of the bigger producers, they put their son or their hired man in the tractor and they just left the drill down all the time. What happened was where there was good winter wheat, there was no spring wheat. The winter wheat totally outcompeted the spring wheat. Nothing there to harvest, wasn't a problem. Where the winter wheat was thin, we had either a blend or only spring wheat, and then we had that as a feed crop. It really can work pretty well as long as you remember that it is a feed crop and there will be a difference in harvest. So another opportunity to keep cereals in the rotation. If you think it's a thin crop, you're a little worried about it, it works. And it works with single cut clover as well.
Thanks, Peter.